agenda for today will start with an overview of EBS's strategy and how 12.2 fits into that. Then I'll spend most of the time in the next two sections, the first being EBS 12.2 modern user experience across the suite, and then EBS 12.2 key enhancements by product family. I'll wrap up with where to find more information and key takeaways. Today's session covers such a broad range of topics when we cover what's new in 12.2 beyond online patching that's been delivered in the last 8 years. It's intended to give a survey at a high level of key features delivered to the suite for you then to find more information that you may be interested in, either in this session or in other resources. So with this, I'll cover the what and the why, not as much about the how. There might be times you might want to pause a slide and look at more details if you are interested in that. Otherwise, we'll just quickly get through a lot of content as part of this survey session. With that, let's get started. The EBS strategy and 12.2 overview. Oracle's investment for EBS customers really spans in three key areas. The first is modern user experience to make it very modern, simple, and actionable for users to be able to do the functions that they need to, with key initiatives around enterprise command centers, more and enhanced HTML UIs, and mobile apps. The second area is around functional innovation, so that we're delivering more business functions responding to our customer requests, either through voting, by asking for enhanced business processes, or regulatory requirements. And then the third category is operational efficiency, and how we lower the cost and effort of optimizing operations with things like online patching, new technology updates, and EBS on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. All of these investments really focus on building upon the strengths of EBS as an integrated global suite. Today's session, I'm going to focus on the first two, modern user experience and functional innovation. Setting the context for what we're delivering in this session is focusing on EBS 12.2 from when it got delivered in 2013 to the latest release of 12.2.11 that was released in November of 2021. So we have over 8 years of investment that we'll be covering in this session at a very high level, as I described earlier. So we'll be covering the 12.2 releases at a high level, and then we'll also be highlighting what's new in the Enterprise Command Center, ECC releases that you see at the bottom that we start delivering in 2018 and have delivered then since then every 6 months, with the last one getting delivered in the same time frame as 12.2.11 in November 2021. These are key highlights to talk about when we talk about user experience. So I'll be giving you a little bit of intro of Enterprise Command Center so you can better understand that. It's important to understand how things are delivered and what the releases are so you can understand how you can then see if you have that capability installed in your system, what you need to install to be able to get this capability. So there's lots of different release vehicles, either through 12.2 releases or through Enterprise Command Center releases for you then to uptake the capability that we'll be talking about today. And all of this shows a continual delivery of EBS's investments with years to come, with this similar kind of cadence of a 12.2 release at generally at annual level at the suite-wide level. So with that, let's get started. I also want to talk about the EBS support timelines. When we're talking about 12.2, 12.2 is in Premier support with Oracle's published documentation that it be supported through at least December 2032. The really approach we're taking is it's a rolling 10-year years of Premier support. So as we now get into 2022, we're expecting then that this year to extend out to 2033, similar to what we've done the last few years when we had a 10-year rolling window that we extend out Premier support. So really, it's a long-term investment for Oracle's commitment to you to be supporting eBusiness Suite. For those on 12.1, I want to highlight that 12.1 Premier support ended at the end of December 2021 after 12 plus years of Premier support. For customers who are on 12.1, it's really time to move beyond 12.1 and get on a plan to upgrade to 12.2, move to cloud apps, whichever one's appropriate for you to get started or to get going. If you did not complete that kind of move beyond 12.1, there is a support offering called market-driven support for an extra fee that you can then get additional support for 12.1 as you complete your move beyond 12.1. So with that, reminder of what I'm covering today is why we're really giving you the value of what's in EBS 12.2. So that's the broad Oracle strategy for eBusiness Suite, how we're investing our release vehicles and our support timelines. When we talk specifically about 12.2, most people first, when it got released, talked about online patching, which was the signature feature when we released 12.2 in 2013, which its focus was to be able to let you do patches, either updates or upgrades, once you're on 12.2 while users remain in the system while patches are getting applied. This then reduces your downtime for users to be off the system with a very short cutoff period, and so that it can reduce that downtime and let you continue to run critical business operations while patching is happening. What I want to be covering is there's a whole lot more innovation delivered across the suite beyond online patching, really building upon the strength of EBS as an integrated global suite. As I described earlier, it's really around modern user experience and enhanced business functions of what I'll be covering today. But we really have touched all of the different functionalities across EBS. This visual shows then the different families that I'll be stepping through that are fully integrated in the suite, and then highlighting modern user experience around that. To give you a sense of the breadth of what we've delivered in 12.2, this is just a summary of key enhancements in each of the product families. Each of the boxes is a product family with highlights of what we delivered in the 12.2 releases from 12.2 to 12.2.11 over those 8 years that I've described earlier. I will be covering key highlights in each of these areas, but it gives you a sense of the kind of breadth of what we've delivered in EBS 12.2. Let's get started going through that. To give you a sense is kind of our continued cadence. 12.2.11 was released in 2021, along with our 2 ECC releases. And so this is then the investment highlights that we delivered in the last year of 2021. Let's get started in covering this. One way that we get input on what we should be delivering is customer voted enhancements. And before I get started into the key features, I want to highlight this process. So customer voting is done through Ideas in My Oracle Support Community. Customers can engage in the prioritization of enhancements with other customers by voting, and then voting each other's ideas up or down. Development then uses that to be able to look at what is the higher scored ideas, from which then can help prioritize the things that we should planning for future releases. This is available across 36 plus communities in EBS across ERP, HCM, supply chain, and apps tech. And it's something we've had for many years and have been leveraging for many 12.2 releases to be able to deliver those high voted ideas. Recent improvements that you'll see is you have the ability to subscribe to notifications for new ideas and communities that you care about. And then we've also reorganized the community so it's easy to find which various communities organized by product family, like procurement, manufacturing, etc. So your scoring does make a difference in that it's really helping us sort through the large number of ideas we have. We have over 7,000 ideas that have been created with over 22,000 users who've engaged with it since we started this process in 2014. Your voting really then drives a focus to those that a large number of customers want based on a high score. And so assuming each customer user has 1 vote, we're finding that 3% of the ideas have over 20 votes. That's more than 20 customers who are highlighting that, or 5% of the ideas that have between 10 and 19 votes. We then look at those high score ideas, and then we are delivering to those. We're delivering to you. 36% of the high scored ideas have been delivered through the latest releases that we've been talking about, with over 600 ideas getting delivered. We want to share with you how we're delivering to you based on what you're voting on, to encourage you to continue to engage in the community, create new ideas, review ideas, vote on them, so you can actually really help feed the scoring to help us understand what do a large number of our customers want us to be delivering to you, and we'll continue through this process into the future. The kind of ideas that we've been delivering, here's some examples of those high score ideas. This is just giving you an example of a couple of ideas per release. So it shows from 12.2.11, a couple of ideas from order management that had 39 and 41 votes. Things like, as we said, a UI to be able to update sales order UDAs in EBS. And a number then you see kind of down the line of things we've done in 12.2.10, 12.2.9, et cetera. Sometimes broad process flow things, sometimes a very specific enhancement, but really ask that you engage in the voting and help feed into our product planning process. When we show enhancements that we've delivered, we do have an indicator on the slide in the upper right-hand corner, as shown in this upper right-hand corner of this slide, with a light bulb, which then gives you an indicator that one of the features was voted on as a customer voted idea as input into our product planning process. So that gives the overview of our inputs into 12.2, how we've approached it. Now let's start getting into one of the areas, the first being modern user experience. With our goal of a simple, actionable user experience for your end users to be able to effectively do their job, we really have three key areas of investment. The first being enterprise command centers, which is a new delivery we started in 2018 around information-driven navigation that's available across the suite and delivered as a feature with no additional cost to licensed users of the base products. I'll share with you more a little bit of what that is, but it's really a key value prop and really open up the data and the insight that EBS you have within your system today with pre-built pages. The second area is modern and enhanced HTML UIs. So we continue to update the look and feel, make the interaction in processing and interacting with data much more modern, and get more and more UIs in HTML as an alternative to forms. The third area is mobile apps. We've been delivering mobile apps for 12.1.3 and 12.2 since 2014. We have some line of business apps, which are focused for really key users that need the app to do their job for things like mobile field service, mobile supply chain apps, or mobile maintenance, or other self-service apps like approvals, time cards, expenses that you might deploy to a much broader set of users. And so I'll give you some highlights of what we've done in mobile apps. But it's with these three key initiatives that we're delivering a modern user experience to your EBS implementation. Let's start it with enterprise command centers. So this is delivering prepackaged dashboards to let your users easily identify and act on priority transactions without custom operational reporting. It's really driven by an information-driven navigation paradigm built on a technology called Enterprise Command Center Framework that lets us very easily create dashboards, as you're seeing here on the right, that lets you very easily see indicators across the top or a search panel across the left with the consumer-like search. Either you can type at the top and it will filter, or you can then have a faceted search and then filter based on things that you click upon. Then you can either click on the actions, search and filter, click on one of the chart segments, and then it will then filter the data based on that and then recalculate what you show, and then you get to see the next set of information from which you get the further drill down. This kind of interaction really drives to a conversation with your data to keep narrowing down on what's the key area for you to focus on, and then take action on those selected transactions, given this is a key part of how EBS and its interaction with both our security and the data. Beyond the dashboard, something new we've done is delivered then ECC diagram that lets you very easily visualize and navigate relationships and common nodes in a given network. And it lets you then more easily investigate an issue, find the root cause, and find other similar issues. We first delivered this in March of 2021 with discrete manufacturing genealogy and trace diagram to show the product genealogy and material tracing through raw materials, through purchasing, through raw materials feeding into work orders, and then sub-assemblies that get built there and fed into a final assembly and then shipped out to customers. And so it's really helping you understand how that's all interacting. So it's a very innovative way that we interact with the diagrams, with the interactive diagram, a zoom and pan and show detail and click on a node and set the context and find like information. As we said, we delivered this first in discrete manufacturing with much more planned for across the suite. Pretty exciting to be able to open up the data that you have in EBS to much more quickly visualize and see the kind of information that you need to. Something else that we've delivered recently with Enterprise Command Centers beyond dashboards is letting you easily take action within context of the dashboard with the pop-up to very easily do a simple action. We've delivered this in November 2021 update. An example here that we're showing is you can be looking at a given purchase order, seeing something that is unassigned. You can then take a requisition line, a set of lines, and then reassign those requisition lines to a given user, press apply, and then it's updated here within the context of the dashboard. So beyond just giving you insight, really making it actionable to either navigate to a much more fuller update page or let you do simple actions within the page. We've done this in a number of different dashboards as shown on the left. And if you're building out dashboards with ECC, you can also build some of your own custom pop-ups, either with OA Framework, even into Apex to be able to incorporate this. So pretty exciting to be able to deliver more of that productivity with the Enterprise Command Center framework tied together with the OA framework. We said we delivered across the suite. So now, as of November 2021, we have 32 command centers with over 110 dashboards. Each command center is then focused on a given product area with a set of dashboards delivering for that. Here you see then the broad range of product areas that we're covering. New ones that we delivered in the last year were then project manufacturing and payroll. And we continue to expand out additional dashboards under these command centers, including things like you saw with the network diagram. So a lot we're doing to be able to really open up that data and have your users very effectively see what they need to see to do there, to take action very quickly. This is easy to deploy. It's been designed to be such. It's supported first from an EBS 12.2.4 and above, so you don't have to be on the latest release of EBS. You can apply it on an environment that's 12.2.4 or above. It's a feature of the products that you have already licensed, so no additional application or technology cost that you need to buy to be able to deploy this. It is fully integrated with the EBS UI, the menuing, ECC, and OA framework working very well together, in addition to ECC and forms. It fully honors the security that's been set up within EBS from responsibilities, functions, data security, et cetera. Fully support for multilingual support, and it's extensible so that you can make changes to some of our dashboards as documented accordingly. So it's easy to get started with the quick start guide and to understand how you can extend it with the extending guide. So that's a quick overview of Enterprise Command Center. There's a lot of other sessions that you can see, get more details both on the framework and the functional areas. Given I have so much to cover in this for the rest of the UX and functional innovation, you then can get more information elsewhere. The second topic of modern user experience I want to cover is more in enhanced HTML UIs. The benefit of HTML, where we want to get more, is really giving you a modern look and feel. And letting it be responsive depending on the device, whether it be a tablet, a laptop, or a large screen on a desktop. And it also leverages the personalization and configuration that's set up with OA Framework. So as we get more into OA Framework, we get these kind of benefits with HTML. So when we talk about EBS's UX in 12.2, the first areas are on updated look and feel. So just the styling. So we updated the look and feel to have a more modern look and feel with colors, styles, and the option that you can set up the simplified homepage that can leverage these kind of icons. You have the choice of what you logically deploy for the homepage, whether it be this or the homepages that you're used to with the new styling. On the right, you also see us then, creating pages where it has more things. You have the option to have icons, counts, or these info tiles across the top, color, and so much more. So you'll see more of this kind of updated look and feel in just standard HTML. With that updated look and feel, when we first delivered it in 12.2.5, we had this blue look. In 12.2.7, we gave you the option to be able to leverage some additional predefined themes with different coloring and styling, or let you create your own to match something that might be your corporate look and feel. In 12.2.11, we delivered a theme that supports the Redwood theme, which is the latest look and feel of Oracle that's deploying across our all of our solutions, both applications, technology, and web pages. So this really lets you then change that styling that you'd apply to EBS to be able to work with either your corporate look and feel or other things that you're deploying from Oracle. You saw those icons across the top. So with 12.2.5, we've given you the option to be able to create a touch-friendly page navigation with icons, particularly for some functions that you may deploy on a tablet. And so you have the option at a runtime level, decide whether you want to use icon navigation across the type as shown on the left, or tab navigation as shown on the right, like you're used to seeing in EBS today in a 12.1.3 or prior. You can decide this runtime either for specific users or functions, deciding really kind of what device they'll be leveraging and how do you want to make it easy for them to navigate. We've also made the global header simplified so that most of the common functions you can access on any page at the top of any page and not have to navigate back to the home page. Things like the navigators available in the upper left-hand corner. You can access favorites or the work list notifications and take action on those, or settings. So this is available at the top of any page that you can navigate to. We've enhanced favorites starting in 12.2.4 and then some additional enhancements all the way through 12.2.9 so that you can access the favorites from the global header up at the top. You can click on the page title of a page where there's the star and click on that to make it a favorite. And administrators also can now define favorites and share those with users as a default. So a number of things to make it easy to get to the information that users need to. The second category of UX is to look at the interactions that OA Framework delivers. The first is letting the layout be responsive depending on the device that you're running. So OA Framework is optimizing on a tablet as shown on the right that have increased spacing both for column headers, row spacing, to make it easier to touch. If you're on a laptop or desktop, the sizing stays tighter so you can see more information. All of this OA Framework does runtime depending on the device. OA Framework has also done some enhancements around tables to make it more productive to manage a large set of data. Things like column display and freeze, where you can freeze a set of columns. The first couple columns are shown in this screen, and then have the rest be scrollable. Similar like you're kind of used to in a spreadsheet, but now you can do this through this HTML UI. You also have it flexible to see more information, whether it be through easier scrolling, be able to detach a whole window and have the whole window take over the table. You can easily download to Excel through WebADI. You can download a PDF in Excel and CSV, and just more visuals that we do to simplify the visuals in a very modern way. All of this coming standard with tables in any OA Framework HTML UI, starting in 12.2.4 and then continued enhancements through 12.2.11. OA Framework has also enhanced pop-ups to make it more productive so that if there's certain functions, you can do that function within context of the page and not have to navigate away. So pop-ups for things like descriptive flex fields as shown in this screen, for attachments, for modal windows, for pop-ups in the ECC pages as describing earlier. And so just making it easy to do the things in context of the page. In 12.2.9, OA Framework delivered something called the list search, which takes a table and enhances the search by doing one is simplifying the search. So it puts the simple and advanced search all together on the left-hand panel as seen on this screen. You can then easily search on, have the option to quick search on one of the columns or do filter as shown on the left-hand panel of this. You can hide the filters and just close that panel. And you can easily display the descriptive flex field in that filter also. You have the choice of then saving the saved searches as info tiles, which are the boxes across the top, which have the count of records that meet that filter condition of that saved search. In 12.2.11, we've enhanced that to be able to support color coding and let you decide to collapse or expand the info tile section of the page. So we've delivered info tiles, we delivered actually list search across a number of key pages that have a high usage, as shown in the lower hand corner. Purchasing, projects, order management, shipping, MES, and lease and finance management have incorporated a list search into their tables for you to get this kind of interaction. WebADI has also been enhanced across various releases in 12.2. First, we've improved the performance and security by just approaching it with leveraging an Office Open XML support, where we do the processing with the database on the server versus the client and really making them faster and more secure. We've done a number of things to make the user productivity improved. Things like having the menu be an Oracle menu, letting you set up corporate branding within the Excel file, easily switch responsibilities and then access the information in that responsibility, and a number of other validation choices as seen in the left-hand side of the page. But all making it easier for you to get information in if you're using WebADI for a large number of things across the suite. We've also made it easier for administrators and developers to personalize OA Framework within admin personalization workbench that's been redesigned to be a what you see is what you get. So you get to see the layout of the page. You see the layers of the personalization where then you can drag and drop different components of the page. You can then view the resulting page with the various layers and all making it easy for you to see the personalizations and implement those and incorporate those with the various levels of personalization. And all of this is delivered with OA Framework from a look and feel and modern interaction. And then we are delivering more HTML UIs with OA Framework in place of forms. So this is the broad list of areas where we have delivered more core UIs in HTML as an alternative to forms across order management, logistics, projects, EAM, service, and ATG. To deploy this, you need to set up the HTML page on your menus, deploy those to your users, and take forms off. You also need to see if there's certain extensions or customizations you have in forms. You need to redeploy those on OA Framework in the way that OA Framework expects those to be. And then once you've deployed those in OA Framework, you get the benefits of the HTML UI that I described earlier. So our goal is to get more and more of the core UIs available in HTML. EBS will always have forms, particularly for a number of key setup areas and in kind of core financials. But so many of the other areas, we want to make sure that we have the option to be able to have HTML that you can deploy. And we encourage you to be able to leverage that. So that's a broad view when we talk about the second area of HTML. Now let's get to the third area, which is mobile apps. As I noted before, we have line of business and self-service apps delivered on 12.1.3 and 12.2. An example of the self-service app is mobile approvals. So this is on a iOS device where you can see the notifications that are sent to you, look at it by approval type, view the pending approvals, drill down into the details of the transaction, and then take action like approve, reject, reassign, etc. So this is just an alternative UI to leverage through a mobile device in place of having to go to an HTML browser or to be able to get through your email. In the example of a line of business user where they need the app to do their job, like mobile supply chain apps that we've had for a very long time, we've now made it available to run on Android and iOS, in addition to the Windows Telnet device that it's supported for a long time. So with the deployment on iOS and Android, we're leveraging the same personalization framework that MSCA has had, and we're kind of supporting all the pages that MSCA has, but now you can run this on an Android or iOS device. So that's just a view of the mobile apps. I'll be covering some of the other mobile apps in the different functional areas to highlight those. Now let's drill down into the key enhancements by product family. So the approach I'm going to take is I'm going to step through each family with a section like this, highlighting the area and put the key enhancements. I'm not going to read each of the key enhancements. Use this as an index for you to know what's new in that area. I'll step through then a slide for each of these areas, and then I'll go to the next slide. You then can use this as a way to find what family do you care about, and then understand what's new in that area. So with that, let's get started. In financials, a key area I wanted to highlight more in this enterprise command centers is one of the areas is period close dashboards for payables and receivables that lets you understand then the unaccounted for accounting events that are not yet processed to avoid then so you can avoid issues that might be, or you can reconcile, so you can resolve issues that you have in the month-end processing for unaccounted events and very easily get visibility into those, drill into those and take action. I'm not going to cover the rest of the ECC areas. As we said, there's other sessions to cover those topics. The next topic in financials I want to highlight is property manager, with enhanced support for the lease accounting needed for IFRS 16 and ASC 842 that was went into regulation a few years ago. But now you can use property manager as a financials user, where we've enhanced it so you can handle the lease accounting needed for handling the lease accounting on your balance sheet. It's available in 12.13 and 12.2, and it does things like doing the various lease accounting, helping you manage the leases, and then be able to give you full reporting there. Another area in financials is GL and AP approvals are more flexible, where GL is now integrated with approvals management to let you define rules and parallel approvals. And AP invoice approvals is enhanced to be able to have parallel approvals and let you transfer ownership, allowing you to then have better control and compliance with better automation of approvals for these types of transactions. AR has introduced a couple of new cash application methods to make it easier to apply more cash automatically. Credit management with the customer voted idea has made it easier to capture and use additional financial data in the credit scoring for things like debit equity ratio and interest coverage ratio that you can then leverage in the credit scoring model. Advanced collections has made it easier to be more efficient in the collection process by allowing you to define collections based on related accounts, so your collectors can then work on a group of accounts based on the parent-child relationship. You can also define template rules that let you execute the work items in the collection strategy, and then define logic to skip certain things if you've, say, collected 80% of a given invoice and that's meets the rule, then a given work item can be skipped and then move on to the next one. Report Manager has been improved in various releases in 12.2. The first is we've enhanced the performance and security of Report Manager, which generates and distributes FSG reports. We've also have a new Report Manager UI, as seen on the right, leveraging the info tiles, the listing the reports. You also have more flexibility in how you can generate and deliver those reports, with report bursting and delivery to a drive or email, and advanced scheduling, a number of other things related to outputs and display templates. In financials, we continue to be focused on the EBS legislative updates needed, particularly in the ERP legislative requirements. Some recent things that we've done that have driven recent catalysts that have driven legislative updates were things around invoicing, fiscal audit, data privacy, particularly driven from a GDPR perspective, some things that might have come related to COVID or Brexit. So we're continue to be aware and monitoring this and make appropriate changes. You can always find the latest information in the EBS Legislative Update Center, where you can then subscribe or self-register to Hot Topics, where you get email alerts as new things come up, and get that information as shown with the doc ID on the slide. Now moving on to order management. A number of areas in enterprise command centers, but a broad set of areas in UX and functional innovation. The first area in order management is really in handling many different ways of ordering and billing a combination of products, subscriptions, and services, so that you can handle more automation for new business models. The first we started with was subscription ordering, delivered in 12.2 and enhanced through 12.2.5, where you can then have a combination of ordering and billing of product subscriptions, services, and warranties in order management, and then capturing additional information on order lines that will then automatically get fed into service contracts around subscription terms and other details. In 12.2.6, we then enhanced that around recurring billing. So in order management, you can then have just simple bill a predefined number of bills, or bill something indefinitely on a recurring basis until the item is returned and then terminated. So it's an easy way for you to just do kind of simple billing, even without doing service contracts. The third area then we enhanced is milestone billing. So now you can take against an order to be able to then say bill based on milestone completion of either events that happen in order management for things like delivery, shipments, customer acceptance, or for custom events that you've defined. And then so we've enhanced that in 12.2.11 and letting you then manage milestones and manage DFF. But it's a key area for you to then get more automation in the kind of more advanced type of ordering and installations that require then milestone billing. And the fourth area of billing we have is usage-based billing. So to let you bill something that is then shipped out based on actual usage and bill rate, billing term tiers that lets you then define billing based on how much the usage units that you've had. And then we've enhanced that in 12.2.11, making it easier to kind of copy and support DFF. So we've kind of four key areas that we've delivered across the 12.2 releases to make it easier for you to handle different combinations of products, subscriptions, and services in order management so that you can do this in a more standard automated way with the capabilities that we've delivered. And the hope for you to be able to then, if you've implemented something with customizations, you remove those customizations and use standard capability. Order management's all been focusing on delivering a HTML UI in place of the order organizer, order scheduler, et cetera. So you can then create and maintain orders through the HTML UI. We've also enhanced the order management so that you can define the customer service rep assignment to orders. We expect the customer service rep is different than the sales rep, or the customer service rep's job is to really manage the order through the processing flow. And now you can define roles based on customer and item, and custom attributes. This then controls the order management command center and the orders that they see there. In 12.2.11, a recent update we've done is be able to support returns on internal sales orders and really handle that standard flow through a shipment of the return goods back to the vendor or to the internal org, and handle all the appropriate intercompany and invoicing to be able to really streamline that flow both from a physical and an accounting perspective. There's a whole lot more that we've done in order management around efficiencies in various things around returns, creating orders, the revenue accounting, the pricing and tax calculation, and more. And we've also done a lot around performance as seen in the lower right-hand corner. So say for order management, if you're interested in this area, stop and look at the details here and see what may be interest of you and find more information elsewhere. In quoting, we've continued to make quoting more flexible and streamlined so you can more quickly get higher quality quotes through the process. One of the key areas is capturing document approvals in electronic signatures, integrating with electronic signature provider system so that your sales rep can then send the document to the customer can then send it, sign it, and then it gets back and placed into the kind of continued flow. We've done other things like a quote validation framework where you can define rules by which you then validate that the quote is set up according to the rules that you expect before it actually gets sent out to the customer. And a number of other things as listed here on the slide. In channel revenue management, where we're tracking then volume related pricing programs. In 12.2.4 and 12.2.5, we've greatly enhanced the volume pricing capability to more flexibly control the cumulative purchase volumes over time and how we accrue and priced on those, including support with retroactive start dates and then managing all the accruals appropriately. We've done more in channel revenue management to give you more financial controls. Things like making channel revenue management periods be managed as a subledger so you can close it as a subledger, and a number of other things as listed here. Shifting to logistics has done a broad range of things in HTML UIs in addition to core capabilities. Beyond the enterprise command centers for inventory, we also want to highlight the cycle counting dashboard as part of inventory. That was the inventory command center that lets you view then the cycle counting status of what are the open counts based on the day it was supposed to get done and the due date, and monitor any pending approvals. We've also made the workflow, the approvals be routed through workflow so that you can then manage approvals for any kind of value change that might be related to the cycle counting. Logistics has also delivered many more HTML UIs starting in 12.2.5 and then many things through 12.2.10, cross receiving, shipping, the material workbench to see inventory balances, warehouse task management to be able to manage the tasks through the warehouse, and then reservations, letting you reserve things for sales orders and also in other areas like manufacturing. Mobile supply chain apps beyond iOS and Android that I talked about earlier has also been enhanced to be able to support advanced barcode scanning to support then a multi-field barcode for specific industry compliance like new FDA GSI-1 and the European PPN specifications, where you can do a single scan and it will populate many different fields. In inventory management and warehouse management, we've made it easier to track different material classifications. So we've introduced a material classification code for you to track things like country of origin of where something was purchased from, or how something is packaged or labeled, and then how you then deliver according to that. So starting in 12.2.6, we handled the outbound, so you could capture that classification code and then during picking and shipping and then print it on the appropriate documents. In 12.2.10, we incorporated into inbound, where you could capture that classification code of where the country of origin or the packaging as part of PO receipt, and then you track the on-hand inventory by that classification code. And then 12.2.11, we enhanced the warehouse management rules engine so that you can assign the storage locations based on the material classification code. So you put certain things, certain packaging of things together, or certain packaging in certain places in the warehouse, or lets you pick certain things based on that classification code to ensure that you're picking based on, say, a given country of origin or a given supplier or a given customer based on the packaging you might have set up for them. Inventory has also made serial tagging more flexible to let you capture the serial number at the point of use, whether it be based on work order, sales order, field service debrief, or return to vendor. So you no longer need to have the serial number controlled at the time of receipt. It's more you can do it point of use. Inventory and order management has also streamlined back order processing in 12.2.9. So you have options to be able to how you want to handle back orders in a more flexible and automated way. There are cases that you might want to cancel unshipped order quantities for customers who say they don't want back orders. They'll just take whatever you might have and then cancel the rest of the back ordered order, and a number of other different ways that we're handling back order processing as listed here. Inventory has also enhanced its integration with Oracle Transportation Management to really be able to leverage more of the core capability of transportation management and the automation that's delivered there. First is EBS users no longer need to create deliveries prior to sending it over for transportation planning. So EBS will send over delivery lines without having deliveries to OTM, let OTM create the shipments, and then EBS accepts those shipments and creates the appropriate deliveries from OTM. There's more we've done to handle multi-leg shipments and return on sales and internal sales orders in the later releases. There's a lot we've done in warehouse management to really reduce the throughput efficiencies and reduce the idle time and the time it takes to be able to do the things across the warehouse. Starting in 12.2.4, we've done things to say around zone management, letting you then assign tasks based on zones, things like picking, cycle counting, and label printing, and a number of other key areas as listed here for the warehouse management efficiencies. Also in warehouse management, along with mobile supply chain apps, we've defined the concept of user-defined activities in 12.2.10. We've been very focused in really tracking the activities you do in the warehouse. But we know there's some activities that aren't transactions that we track in EBS. I mean, in EBS, things like inbound where you need to unload the trailer or check the labels, or you need to shrink wrap the pallet. All those things are activities that your staff does, but it's not activities we're tracking in EBS. You now have the ability to define those activities. You can capture the time spent in mobile supply chain apps, and then you can view and analyze these activities and combined with the other activities in EBS as part of the new activity dashboard in the Inventory Management Command Center. Another area in order management logistics is handling advanced catch weight that we first delivered in 12.2.2, which really lets you handle a flexible case of multiple unit of measure for things like food that where you manufacture and cost it based on pounds. You might ship it based on units or cases, but you need to capture the actual weight for then appropriate costing and invoicing based on either the weight of the unit or the piece count of the unit. And so we handle that multi-unit processing with something called, under our capability called advanced catch weight. Now shifting to procurement, broad range of things we've done in procurement as listed here. The first is in iProcurement and consumer-like shopping, where with the Enterprise Command Center framework, we are now giving the ability to make it easier for end users to be able to search against your catalog in a very similar way like they do like consumer-like search. In that process, you can also control guiding them to preferred items, preferred suppliers, managing the search results accordingly, and then letting the end users give feedback to your procurement staff on content that they're seeing so you can better improve the content catalog. With that searching against the catalog, just want to highlight that you can automate the loading of the supplier catalog via Oracle Business Network. That was previously known as Oracle Supplier Network, but you can then interact with suppliers to be able to load that content that's available then through into iProcurement for that consumer-like shopping. iProcurement has also delivered something in 12.2.6 called Spot Buy, where specific privileged users have the ability to create a requisition that's automatically approved. It automatically creates a purchase order without a procurement involvement. We have then streamlined the flow if you have a new supplier to be able to how you get that supplier information to the system with many different options. This is particularly effective if you have distributed individuals within field offices who need to very quickly do something with a local supplier. They then have the ability to create a spot buy with their privileged authority to be able to get that purchase order sent to the supplier as quickly as possible. Part of the employee shopping is to really understand what are they shopping against in your catalog. So now we've delivered the employee shopping tracker, so you can see what they're searching on, what is in your catalog that's highly used, what is not in your catalog, so you can continue to improve the catalog content that you are offering to your end users. More broadly in procurement, we've enhanced the procurement contract relationships to let you really relate the procurement documents and the repository contracts so you can ensure you understand the terms and conditions related to your purchasing documents. You can understand that hierarchy and then search against that. Many other enhancements we've done in purchasing driven from the customer voted ideas are a number of things like automated grouping of multiple requests into a purchase order so that you can then auto-create the grouping rules and then get more volume-based discounts based on the amounts that you're buying. And there's a number of other key enhancements listed here on the left. Something else we've done in 12.2.11 is for procurement, handling shared service support for project-centric purchases, where we've done shared service support, which lets you have a central purchasing agents, purchasing staff who is then supporting various different operating units. Now in 12.2.11, we're making that available also for shared services for project-based purchase orders or complex purchase orders, which we did not support before. So now you really get that broad global capability for both project-based and complex purchases, which are for goods and services related to pay items, and you're managing that. So particularly very effective for those driven from our engineering construction customers, but really anybody who's doing project or complex purchases. iSupplier Portal continues to be enhanced, and here we're supported it for a supplier representative or broker. So you can set up a login of one user to be able to manage for multiple suppliers, whether it be a supplier representative acting on behalf of many subsidiaries or supplier broker acting on behalf of many different suppliers. So they can have one user log in to different suppliers and interact in iSupplier portal to manage the appropriate transactions. We've introduced project procurement in 12.1.3, but it's a new product, new area, one to continue to highlight that we've continued to enhance in 12.2, which enables the collaboration between project managers of what the project demand is for purchasing and with the project buyer. So that you're defining then what's the project procurement plan. The buyers then source materials and services based on that through the sourcing process, through purchasing, and then ultimately managing it through the dates and the quantities that projects needs. We've also enhanced sourcing to better continue to align what are the priorities of how sourcing events need to align to initiatives. So you can define initiatives with its objectives and tasks and then have sourcing events driven from that. Sourcing has also been enhanced to handle flexibility in how you capture offers, to handle things like alternate lines or multiple offers from a given supplier, and then a number of things to be able to how do you prepare the actual document, re-award closed documents, or do online negotiation. Projects and procurement is also working in very industry-specific things. One of the key areas is around G-invoicing for U.S. federal program agencies. Very much focused on, how the 100+ agencies in the U.S. federal government that are using a new system based on EBS procurement and projects supporting the G-invoicing process. It's built upon the strength of the procurement and projects solutions in EBS, but then delivering very specific things around G-invoicing. We highlight this just to note as this is the kind of depth and breadth and the types of mission critical organizations that EBS supporting, knowing that we'll be supporting it for a very long time. Now shifting to projects. Number of things in command centers, but a broad set of functional things that we'll step in through now. The first is on labor costing, starting in 12.2, improving labor costing to handle things like costing with HR rates, so you can rate by criteria or prevailing wage rate. We also can pull payroll costs into projects with handling the various different things, including supplementary payrolls, and ensuring that we're getting accurate costs into projects based on payroll costs. Project costing has made accounting adjustments easier, so you can reverse accounting transactions in projects or undo that accounting. In 12.2.11, we've recently enhanced budgetary control to handle labor and non-labor transactions. Previously, we supported the procure-to-pay transactions against projects. Now you can handle labor and non-labor against the budgetary control process. Project billing has been greatly enhanced to handle a number of different industries, including industries that do federal contracting. So to support all of this, it starts with contract-based project billing. So you can then bill based on a contract and have many projects billed to that contract and end then with the consolidated invoice. There's a number of other key invoicing and revenue management enhancements, including that invoice consolidation across projects, flexibility in how you invoice and bill based on a bill group and how you define bill groups and what gets billed on that, and a number of other key areas as listed on the slide. And in addition, there's a number of specific U.S. federal contracting features like FAR, DFARS, et cetera, that are supported through this capability. All of it with the goal to simplify and streamline a lot of these advanced project scenarios in standard capability. Projects has also been very industry focused in delivering a way for you to capture the schedule of values typically used in construction to let you then manage the project control and progress against the schedule of values and the billing. Projects has also introduced another structure called cost breakdown structure that lets you better manage cost across in a standard way, independent and related to the work breakdown structure and the resource breakdown structure, and give you a standard cost coding structure across projects. Now shifting to manufacturing. Manufacturing has done a lot in enterprise command centers across the various manufacturing, costing, and quality, but a number of things in discrete and process manufacturing as listed here. The first is delivering the ability for you to do reservations in discrete manufacturing. for items that are on component jobs. First delivered in 12.2.10 and now available in 12.2.11 to ensure that you have the items that you need for critical work orders that need to be done in a certain amount of time. EBS 12.2 has also delivered eKanban for just-in-time manufacturing that lets you manage with very lean inventory levels and manage it through the process of eKanban and appropriate card planning. Discrete manufacturing is also better enabled serialized manufacturing when you have serialized processing and handling a number of different steps through things like express complete of job work orders, entering auto dekitting, and a number of other things to really improve the operator productivity when you're managing serialized components. Discrete MES has also delivered component availability to let you very easily understand what do you need and what do you have and make adjustments on day zero for a clean to build requirements. So it lets you very easily manage any component shortages that you might have on upcoming work orders. Very closely working then with prior planning that would have done with ASCP, but this is really the day zero planning and adjustments that you can make accordingly. Discrete manufacturing has also been very focused in making it easier for an MES supervisor to be able to use a tablet and be able to understand, work order status and progress and be able to make adjustments very easily by doing things like, canceling, unreleasing a job, expediting, and more. Discrete manufacturing has delivered outsourced manufacturing, so you can very easily get visibility into your outsourcing business with your manufacturing partners, both from an order status, inventory balances, quality, and financial position. We initially delivered this for discrete manufacturing. We have since then delivered it for process manufacturing, so this will be supporting your manufacturing partners for both discrete and process manufacturing. For process manufacturing, we'd also delivered outside processing for a given step in the manufacturing process. And so you can either be using outside processing for a given step or full outsourced manufacturing when you're working with specific manufacturing processes for the full process. Process manufacturing has been also very focused on quality and improving the quality. In 12.2.7, delivering automated time-based sampling. So you take samples based on specific timing, letting you capture quality results in the touch screens in 12.2.8, and then handling distributed sampling in 12.2.11. And these are really needed for a number of different industries as listed here. Things like life sciences, where you're tracking chemicals, food and beverage, and metals to be able to manage the quality process. The distributed sampling delivered in 12.2.11 fundamentally lets you manage different unit specifications that then might get aggregated into something that you're building. You get an aggregate sample, but then you need to test each of those unit specifications in a unit sample. So the distributed sampling lets you manage that overall process of capturing both the specifications and the sample results so that you can effectively manage the quality process. Process manufacturing also introduced yield management to let you very carefully manage yield at the various levels as it goes through each of the steps. So you can understand as it steps through it, each of the steps, you can understand what's the operation and cumulative yield for you to then effectively manage against a standard yield and flag any exceptions. Process manufacturing has also introduced serialization support, particularly for things like life sciences, where you need to be able to then track specific traceability and supply chain of what is the serial numbers that of either of the consumed ingredients that went into it or the final products that came out of it, and then be able to use the serial genealogy to be able to easily track that. Process manufacturing has done more around the genealogy for multi-lot batches. So if you have a batch that's going to create multiple lots, there's actually certain ways that we're capturing then the genealogy for products that come out of a long-running batch. Product Hub and item definition has been enhanced to make it easier to manage the maintenance and setup. Product Hub lets you do things like making it easy to be able to manage multi-row attributes through Web ADI and to be able to search against them. The item master APIs are now available to all inventory users, even without requiring Product Hub license, and a number of other setup options. We've also made it easier with additional APIs in 12.2.11 to make it easy to extend and integrate supply chain data across a number of the products as listed here. Now shifting to asset lifecycle management. A key area of asset lifecycle management is delivering a mobile app for mobile maintenance focused on mobile technicians and mobile managers so they can very easily understand what they need to do, transact by taking time, charging time and completing the operation, and view then information about the assets. This can be used both online and offline and run against 12.1.3 and 12.2. A key feature in EAM is also linear asset management delivered in an early release of 12.2. So now you can track both linear assets in addition to the other kind of discrete assets in EAM. Linear assets include things like pipelines, transmission, distribution lines, railways, and roads. What's different about these is you need to handle the very linear reference, like where is the asset located now and how is it related to other assets. That is now captured in EAM. You also have a workbench that you can easily manage these kind of assets and view those on a map. And we continue to enhance this workbench in terms of how you interact with work orders and manage the assets in this map workbench. With the introduction of the map visualization for linear assets, it's now available also for discrete assets. You can very easily locate and manage the work for such kind of assets. More broadly across EAM, we've made it easier for you to assign technicians to work orders. Done first in the mobile maintenance app to be able to let a manager easily assign work to a technician, let a mobile in the mobile maintenance app for the technician so they can self-assign work when they're creating a work order, or they can take things from the departmental queue, or we've enhanced the HTML UI to be able to do mass assign of work to a technician. There's a lot more that EAM has done on customer-driven enhancements driven from the customer voting with a broad range of things listed here, including things like org-specific work order statuses. So if you have multiple operating units, you can make org-specific statuses, or things like mass assigning work orders to employees and be able to manage that. We've done a number of things in the install base product to let you be able to easily manage the install base through Waybit AI and manage the item instances, and a number of other things listed here. And we've also enhanced the asset tracking process in terms of the capitalization and cost transactions that we manage through the process. Now shifting over to service with some key capabilities, both from a UI and a core capability. From an HTML UI, the contact center has been built in HTML UI to allow you to then be able to leverage then the big screen, better support for big monitors to see more information and interact with that. We've also enhanced that to be able to let you create service requests using templates. In Advanced Scheduler, we've enhanced the Dispatch Center as an HTML UI to be able to very easily have this configurable dashboard to easily see and schedule and the technicians. In service contracts, we've enhanced how we do usage billing using group plans. We all understand group plans, or many of us understand group plans like we have with our phone plans. You can do a similar thing now for a contract in a set of assets where you can define an asset group and then manage usage against that with meter readings and then bill based on those different usage groups with various allowances and then roll over unused allowances. Service has been enhanced to handle multi-org access control for service requests and honor then inventory org security so that you can run multiple lines of business of service in a single EBS service instance and then have information secured based on operating unit inventory org, so that somebody who then can see service requests to an assigned operating unit and then the inventory, they can then see inventory in those associated operating units. Services also enhance the service request definition to be able to support multiple products on a given service request. to let you then handle additional use cases of letting a customer call with multiple problems on multiple pieces of equipment and track it on one service request for that location and get one invoice, making it more efficient to do processing for your type of service work. Service is also integrated with projects to be able to use field service as an extension of the project execution to leverage your field service engineers to be able to then do project work based on service requests and tasks that they do, be able to then have that tied to the project and task and track the cost appropriately, both from the debrief and then feed that in through OTL. Service charges has been enhanced to be able to integrate with advanced pricing, so you get more enhanced pricing for item-based charges based on rules that you've defined in advanced pricing for specific customers or volume discounts. Depot Repair has expanded to be able to support supplier warranty for tracking warranty of parts that you then want to claim against for things that might have failed. We also have a waste management to be able to track then materials that are brought back and that you need to then return and track where those are. Depot Repair has also put in prescriptive recommendations to let you then start leveraging the data of what you have for previous service requests to recommend what's the next best fix for a given service order. And then getting into a set of machine learning to be able to help you get into prescriptive recommendations. Now shifting to human capital management. A key focus in enterprise command centers with a new area in payroll in addition to HR, but a focus in mobile apps and time and labor and payroll. So our mobile apps, we've talked about 4, 12.1.3 and 12.2. Key mobile apps is for self-service HR for both employees and managers to do key functions, managers letting them access their team and their profiles, letting employees manage their absences, understand that both their balances and submit new ones, let managers view that, let employees see things like pay slips and a whole lot more. Mobile time cards lets you then letting your employees capture time against your layouts that you define in OTL, but letting you access that through a mobile device, honoring then the rules engine for capturing and generating time and a number of other and time on it and a number of other things that you have in OTL, but having that available through mobile time cards. OTL has been enhanced beyond just the mobile device is to be able to, in the left-hand side, integrate time entry with more enterprise operations. One, to capture it with projects to be able to, as we talked about, capture the time and then cost that with HR rates so that the time card layout has been enhanced so you can capture the approved information. Field service now can capture time cards based on the debrief. And discrete manufacturing now can capture a time card for manufacturing work orders so that you can then capture the time in one way in OTL and then that feeds into manufacturing. OTL has also done a number of things to be able to make it easier to capture time in OTL with things like mass uploading time cards for a given employee with a given flat file, auto-generating time cards based on templates, and a number of other things as listed here. All with the goal of streamlining and standardizing time entry with more management visibility and control. We continue focusing on EBS payroll with some key enhancements delivered in the 12.2 releases, things like the consolidated third-party payments, so you can consolidate payments for many employees into one payment for things like child support distribution. We've done other things like dynamic assignment sets in HTML and Web API in terms of how do you define who's included in a payroll, and also retroactive pay analysis. HR has also worked on a person data removal tool, or PDRT, which is a tool to remove sensitive data for selected persons in EBS. This is part of shared HR. Doesn't require just kind of an HR license, but if for handling data privacy for requirements around GDPR, it's a tool to let you then override selected person data for employees, contingent workers, applicants, customers, suppliers, and end users, where you define then what the data is that you want to override. We check that it's not being used, and then you can override that data within EBS. You can then manage this through rules that are defined in EBS, both standard things that are delivered and extensible with things that you have set up for your company. So we've gone through the broad set of key capabilities by product family. There's a whole lot there, and expect that you found something that looked interesting. Where can you find more information? Find more information on the EBS page under oracle.com, as shown with the URL in the subtitle. You'll find latest information around EBS as pointers to other places in the doc library, training, MyOracle support, and more. It incorporates things around our strategy, our roadmap, how you can think about the cloud with cloud infrastructure, our announcements, videos, and a whole lot more. The guidance on how to think about finding more information beyond what you heard today is look at more of the overview presentation. So watch more of the conference and informational direct from development videos like this one and a whole lot more that we have through the EBS Learning subscription with the link shown there. Then start looking at the feature lists in the release content documents, or the RCDs, that are organized by product family, product, and release with the detailed listing of features that's available through that MyOracle support document. When you find the features that you're interested in, then start learning more with the online training, where you can learn the details on how to implement and use those latest features. You can understand more through the EBS Learning Center, be able to browse based on a listing in the announcements or in the tool, and then ultimately find more information in the documentation. These are just starting points for you to really understand and taking advantage of the things that we've invested for you. So key takeaways for today is understanding that EBS provides a substantial amount of value of what we've delivered in the last 8 years for you now and what we'll keep doing into the future. First is in modern user experience, including the enterprise command centers of open up the data in a very modern and interactive way that's very productive for users to understand what they need to focus on, in addition to the HTML UIs that we've been doing. We've done a set of functional advancement around customer voted ideas, new business processes, and more regulatory things that has been delivered on, beyond 12.1 with over 10 years of functional advancement. And then the operational efficiencies with online patching, technology update, and leveraging OCI. All of this with long-term support that will be supporting at least through 2032 and out into the future. Today, I hope that I showed you for those customers who might be on 12.1, need to move beyond 12.1 with Premier support ending at the end of 2021. And there's a lot of value for you to get on to, if you're looking to upgrade to 12.2, a lot of value. And I hope today you were able to see what that may be. Hope that was useful then for customers who are new on 12.2, have been on 12.2 a while, and are going to uptake latest new releases, latest new capability. There's a whole lot that we've delivered to you to date and a whole lot more into the future. We look forward to hearing about your success in leveraging what we've invested for you. Thank you.